All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining with us tonight. We are doing our monthly free webinar where we give you some tips and tools on how to be successful as an author to make an impact and profits with your book, right? And please let me know, just share in the chat that you're able to see the screen, and then also share in the chat where you are joining us from. All right, so I am your host tonight, Juanita Woodson, founder of the Authors Impact Hub, where all of you are community members because you are joining us tonight. So super excited to be able to bring you the Writing as a Business, how to earn multiple streams of income as an author. So share in the chat if you are already doing more than just selling your book. What else are you doing to earn income as an author? Just drop those in the chat for me. All right, so we got Carolina, Alabama, Virginia. Awesome. All right, so we're gonna go through some things tonight. We'll have some time for Q&A towards the end of the presentation. But just a little bit about me. So I published my first book back in 2017. I am once again the founder of the Authors Impact Hub. I am a wife, a mom, a sister, a daughter, an auntie, a godmom, all of those things. And I say those roles first because they are the ones that keep me going and motivated to do all of the things that I do to keep showing up. So those are my most important hats. But then outside of that, I am a publisher. I am an author coach and a marketing strategist. So I love to be able to provide authors with different tips and tools to help them really grow their author brands, right? So it's more than just the book, it's the brand that is important. All right, so we are going to discuss the business mindset for authors, exploring different income streams, and then going over some different type of revenue options, our Q&A session, and then we'll recap. And then I do have a special offer for the attendees this evening, so you want to make sure that you stay all the way through. All right, so don't put all of your eggs in one basket. Diversify your passion. Writing can be both art and business, creating a legacy that also provides abundance. So you'll hear me say often throughout the presentation that you can do so much more with your author brand than just selling the book. All right, so when you write and publish your book, right, you have just become an entrepreneur. So I think that the first thing you have to decide, what is it that you want to do? Or did you write because it was a hobby, right? This is just something that you wanted to check off of your bucket list. Or are you trying to earn a little bit of income on the side from your book? There are several authors who do retire, right? They are able to have their author brand and it's a thriving business, but they do that by having more than one stream of income with their author brand. So there's a lot of changes that take place in the publishing landscape. So the publishing industry is evolving rapidly. You'll see that. You see different formats of books. You'll see digital access. So it's based on reader preferences. And then by embracing a business mindset, it allows authors to stay competitive and create lasting opportunities. So you'll notice that there are multiple social media platforms, right? You can tell the authors that are successful by the way that they are showing up, not just on social media, but outside of that. They have built a community around their brand, around what it is that they are presenting to the world. So you want to make sure that when you are starting your business, so any type of business, that you do the research, right? You want to find out who your target audience is. This is very important. It will help you with writing your book, but it'll also help you when it's time to market your book and take that next step to become an authorpreneur, right? So that's what you become when you are an author. You are now an authorpreneur, right? So then the importance of diversifying your income. It can create financial stability. So if you just rely solely on book sales, it can be risky, right? You're not alone if you're like, hey, I haven't sold a book in months. I have a book that I released a couple of years ago and it really didn't do that great, but I want to be able to see some sales. I want to be able to see something come from it. I didn't write that book just for it to sit on the shelf and collect dust. I really want something to take place. You are not alone in that, right? So you need to diversify your income because book sales alone, it's not going to cut it, not in 2024. So multiple streams of income, it provides a safety net. And then it also can enhance your brand visibility. So engaging in multiple avenues like speaking, content creation, it increases your exposure. A strong presence in different markets helps establish credibility and also attract new readers, right? You are the brand. So the more that you show up in different ways, people will be interested in not only what you're selling, but who you are. So one thing that I always share sometimes with my clients is this. You are you are the brand, right? What you're selling is not just the book, you're selling your story. And I know for some authors it's different depending on what genre you're writing in. So whether it's fiction or children's book, it's a little different than if you wrote like a self-help book where you're given different tips and tools. But it's still the same. You need to you treat it like a business. You're creating a brand behind the books that you're putting out. So you have to be creative in the way that you show up. All right, so we are learning goals for today. So identify key revenue streams, build sustainable income, and growth strategies. So I'm going to share some of the things that I currently do. And then, like I said, we'll have that time for Q&A. And if you have questions throughout, drop them in the chat and then we'll bring those up at the Q&A. If you're anything like me, if I'm thinking about something, I need to write it down. So please feel free to share it in the chat. All right, so setting up your business foundation. So identifying your personal brand, right? This is important and it goes back to doing the research and identifying who your target audience is before you even start to write your book. So define your brand identity and unique value. Clarify what makes your voice distinct and memorable. Your brand as an author should reflect your style, themes, and purpose, creating a compelling identity that resonates with readers. Okay. So position your brand to reach a diverse audience. So understand who your readers are and what they value. This is why the research is important to identifying your target audience so that you can know what is it that my audience needs, right? When you set up a business, you find the problem, but you need to be the solution to that problem. That's what that is. So figure out what is it that your audience needs. So craft your brand to attract and engage the audience, ensuring your messaging and visuals reflect the readers you aim to serve. Okay, and then when you're setting up a business, you want to make sure, of course, that you choose the right business structure. So there's different types. You can do LLCs, sole proprietorship, but you want to make sure that you check what it's that you need for your state. Each state is different. I always recommend consulting with a tax professional when doing this. And one thing I'm going to do, I'm going to bring some tax professionals in to do a webinar and going over some tips and tools for authors as well, because I think sometimes we forget that as an author, you're running a business, right? So we want to make sure that we have all of our ducks in a row as well. So explore the different options for setting up your author business. Each structure offers unique benefits. So for an example, an LLC provides limited liability, and then while a sole proprietorship is simpler to manage. But like I said, each state is different, so you want to consult with a tax professional. Do your research on what is going to work best for you. All right, diversifying your income streams. So these are some of the different ways, and there's a lot more that we could probably discuss, but that will take us hours. So here are some that we're going to talk about this evening. So of course, book sales, you're an author, so that's one of the ways that you can earn revenue is by selling books. But outside of just like the book that you hold, there's different options. So you can do ebooks, audiobooks, direct sales. So I know a lot of times we focus on as authors, like, okay, got to get my book on like Amazon and Barnes and Noble. That's all well and good, but I push people, you need to have another way that people can order and connect with you. So having an author website is important because you're not only sending people to your website, you can get their emails, you can keep them up to date with things that are going on when you have new releases, or let's say you want to start selling t-shirts to go along with your book. You have their information, so now you're really building your reader base and your audience. So you can also do another thing that you can do is online courses and coaching, right? So share your expertise. If you talk about in your book, let's say you talk about parenting in your book, you can create courses giving different tips and tools. If you're a health person, let's say you talk about like dieting, you can create courses based on the topics in your book. So you can be very creative. Another thing that you can do, if you've mastered like book marketing, or you've mastered, or let's say that you're efficient in like editing, think about how you can take what you've learned, all of what you have learned, and then pour that back into other people, right? You can also do freelance writing and consulting, and then merchandise and licensed products. So you'll see me wearing the Pray Write Impact t-shirt, right? I am diversifying my income because I'm adding different things to my author brand. Also, speaking engagements and workshops. So leverage your author experience at conferences, schools, online events, offering workshops based around your background. When you write a book, and let's say it's a self-help book, when you write a book, you are what's the word that I want to use? You are educated in that, right? So you should be able to effectively be able to communicate what it is, the topic that you're talking about, right? And people will pay if you market yourself right. They will pay to have you come to speak at conferences, schools, but you have to do some research and start putting your plan together so that the right people can find you. All right, so maximizing your book sales. So explore different options, so self-publishing and hybrid models. So if you're familiar with the different types of publishing, so there's traditional self-publishing and hybrid models. So consider the flexibility of doing self-publishing or hybrid models, which you have greater control over your work, right? So when you go through like a traditional publishing company, you turn your rights over to them. But I think sometimes people seem to forget that you still have to market the book. But with doing self-publishing and hybrid, you have a little bit more control over your work. You also have higher royalty rates, and then you can publish your book faster than going to like a traditional publisher. And then I talked about this a little bit on that last slide. So also understanding your royalty structures in both traditional and self-publishing, and consider direct sales through your website. So don't solely rely on Amazon and Barnes and Noble, right? Because even with that, you have to send people to Amazon and Barnes and Noble. Unless you're running ads, you have to send people to find your book. So why not have your author website and people can order those books directly through you, and you don't have to worry about the royalties. Okay. All right, and then also consider doing different book formats. So if you started, let's say, with just a paperback book and you want to come out with a special edition hardback, or maybe doing an audio book or an ebook. So that expands your reach by offering different formats that cater to different reader preferences. So if you think about, there may be someone who wants to read your book, but they're visually impaired, right? So an audiobook that opens you up to a different market there. So just get creative in the different formats that you have. Okay, so maximizing sales across all platforms. So diversifying your availability by leveraging multiple formats and distribution channels to increase visibility and accessibility. So yes, it helps you reach a broader audience when you have more than one format. Some people would rather, they won't buy a paperback, they'll prefer a hardcover. But we know in printing that hardcovers are a little bit more expensive, but you open yourself up to a different market when you have those options. All right, so building courses and coaching services. So turning your knowledge into curriculum. So you see sometimes on social media where people are always selling courses, right? So you can do this too. Okay, so choosing the right topics, identify topics that align with your expertise and your readers' needs. I'm going to always go back to making sure that you do the research, right? So that you know who your target audience is. It's going to save you so much time and so much money and help you to really be effective and efficient in marketing. So select areas that solve real challenges. So you want to identify what the problem is, but hey, I am the solution, right? So you solve a problem. So you solve real challenges or offer specialized insights related to your genre or field. Okay. So here are some platforms for online courses. So there's Teachable, Skillshare. Um, there's some other ones as well. It's like Squarespace, they've set it up where you can create courses on there too. So just do your research on what will work best for you. All right, so then here are some different topics. So coaching based on book topics. So personal development and mindset. So you can guide clients on goal setting, resilience, and self-care. If your book is based on health and wellness, you can create tailored wellness, fitness, or mental health plans, meal plans too. That's another type of coaching that you can do. Business and entrepreneurship. Help clients develop business skills, branding, and growth strategies. Relationship and family. So coach on communication, parenting, relationship building, financial literacy, offer financial planning, budgeting, and wealth building. So there's so much that you can do. Faith-based, right? Support clients on their spiritual journeys and life purpose. There's so much that you can do with your books. You just have to think outside of the book that you hold in your hand. All right, and then marketing your coaching services. So you can build your clientele base through social media, your website, author networks, and then share feedback from your clients. Share what they learn. So one thing that I do, so at the end of my 6-month coaching that I do, I send a feedback in testimonials link. I want to know what I did well, what I can do better so that I can gauge that and make it better for future clients. So that's something that you can do as well. And even with book reviews or product reviews, don't be afraid to ask people to leave you feedback and give you reviews. That's content. That's something that you can share. All right, so hosting, speaking engagements, and workshops. So becoming a speaker, right? So sometimes authors, they will, if you've written a book and you want to start getting your voice out there, you really want people to hear the message behind the book. So you want to identify, okay, what are the key topics that I can talk about? So select topics that showcase your expertise, reflect your writing journey, or align with the theme of your book. So focus on areas where you can provide insight and inspire the audience. Don't don't ask to talk about something that you have not experienced, right? You want this to be authentic in who you are. This is what you were called to do. So you want to make sure that it aligns with your brand, your message, so that it stays true to who you are. And then you want to connect with the right audience, right? So if you seek opportunities or someone is coming to you with an opportunity to share your message, you want to make sure it's with the right audience. And then another thing that you can do is organize workshops. So you can design workshops that cater to both virtual and in-person audiences. Once again, just picking the topic that you want to talk about. I think that's another great way that you can diversify your income. So then with the workshops, another thing that you can do after you've done the workshop, you can present an offer, right? So you've taken my workshop. Now I'm going to present you with an offer. If you want to continue working with me, we can do one-on-one coaching, right? All right, freelance writing and content creation. So expand your writing beyond books. So if you love to write like me, one thing that you can do is look for opportunities to contribute to magazines, blogs, do guest blogs, other publications to increase your visibility and credibility, joining anthology projects, right? So any way that you can that stays true to who you are, right? You want to make sure that you stay true to your brand and your vision for your life. Any way that you can continue to expand your writing, you want to look for those opportunities. You can offer ghostwriting, editorial services, use your writing skills to support others' projects. Okay. So definitely magazines, it's a good one to continue trying to get yourself out there. And then blogs. Blogs is a really good thing. If you really spend the time to do the research and you have a website, you can monetize your blog, right? That's another way that's another webinar too, because we can get into talking about SEO, search engine optimization, all of those things to make sure that people can find your blog, to make sure that you're marketing your blog effectively. So you can monetize your blog, but it's taking the time to make sure that you're submitting those things so that people can find you. It's a good way. A blog is a good way to drive traffic to your website as well. Creating and selling merchandise, right? So branded merchandise, you can create and sell products like apparel, journals, bookmarks that reflect your book's theme. So next month, if you have not already signed up, next month we are having the journal creation workshop, right? We want to make sure that you get the tools that you need if you're thinking about creating a journal. We're bringing that webinar to you next month on November the 12th. But here are, a few things. You can create t-shirts, tumblers, you can create mugs, you can get creative in what you are selling. Pull quotes from your book, right? You can pull quotes from your book and create a fancy, I don't have my keep showing up mug up here. I haven't put a lot of things out, but I'm working on some different merchandise as well, pulling some things from my book and my author brand. So get creative. Right. All right. So offer companion guides, like you can do study books, right? Or like workbooks. So let's say that you wrote a book about parenting, right? You can create a workbook, like a guided workbook or fan merchandise. So if you wrote like a children's book, you can create unique t-shirts or like lunch bags with your characters on the lunch boxes, right? You can get really creative in what it is that you're doing. So then setting up sales. So there's a few different types of options that you can use. So sometimes people use Etsy, Shopify, or your own author website. Another thing that I'm learning, and I'm learning this so that I can be able to share this with you all, is TikTok shop, right? TikTok, oh my gosh, it's a big thing. You can make some good money on TikTok shop, but it takes the time that it takes to set it up so that you can really reach your right audience. But that is another good resource. If you haven't started looking into TikTok, that's something that I will recommend as well. All right. So we have gone through a few different ways. So I am going to open the floor for Q&A. You can drop it in the chat or you can come off of mute. I would love to hear your feedback.
Hi guys, it's Ivy.
Hi.
Hi. So I like the merchandise idea. Is there a compliance um issue with that as far as like copyright? How do we like legitimize a product that way?
So if it's your quote, let's say from like your book, you own that, right? You own the copyright. So you're able to take that and put it on a t-shirt.
Okay. And there's no like paperwork or anything else we have to do for stuff like that.
No, ma'am. And every state is different, right? So when it comes to like setting up a business and you want to check your state, you want to check your state and what the business and like regulations are for your state.
Okay. Thank you.
Of course. Any other questions? Let me make sure that I don't miss any questions that may have been dropped in the chat. Any feedback? Come off, y'all can come off of mute. If you have any tips or anything that you do that has worked for you and you want to share that.
I will say for children's book authors to have a lesson plan with your book is super helpful when you're trying to get it into schools or daycares. They absolutely love it because it gives them something to refer to if they're reading the book. So it goes after reading the book, then the kids have to, it goes further into actually giving them a lesson. So having a lesson plan is definitely a wonderful addition to your children's book.
Yes, definitely. I love that. So lessons plans, even like coloring books.
Yes, coloring books is great. Activity sheets, anything like that really, really helps um, sell your book to schools and educators. They love that.
Yes, those are great tips. If you have thought about doing a children's book or you have one out, having those additional pieces to go along with your book, it opens you up to a different market. Thank you so much for sharing, Paula.
Hmm.
All right. Any other questions or feedback? All right. Y'all are quiet on me this evening. All right. So
I
just
just
to,
want to say that, you can hear me?
yep, we can hear you.
I like everything that you said, especially the merchandise. That's something that I'm interested in, that I'm thinking about doing. And the lesson plan, Paula, I wrote that down from our own webinar. I plan on doing it as well. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes, definitely. And share, you guys share in the author's impact hub, right? If you're coming out with a different piece of merchandise or if you create like a lead magnet, share that with the author's impact hub. We're here to support you. Even if it's just like, hey, you're looking for some feedback, definitely share that. All right. So final takeaways and next steps. So building your author brand. So go back and make sure that you have done the research to identify who your target audience is, and then focus on creating a unique identity that resonates with your target audience and reflects your writing style. Okay, and then diversifying your income streams. So take a look at what you're doing right now and your marketing and honestly ask yourself the question, am I doing this as a hobby or am I doing this because I genuinely would like to build an author brand and earn income with this, right? So once you know the answer to that question, it will reflect in the way that you show up moving forward. So really have that time of self-reflection so that you can proceed the right way. Right. And then once you know, you're like, hey, no, I'm going to treat writing as a business, then you have to adopt a professional mindset to ensure your writing career is sustainable and financially rewarding. And that means showing up when you're tired, right? That means networking with others. That means getting a clear marketing plan for your author brand. Maybe every year you're not going to put out a new merchandise. Maybe now you're going to start doing some different podcast opportunities, right? Sharing your story more so that you can try to get more speaking engagements, right? So just think about what the next 5 years looks like for you as a business and map that plan out. And then one thing that you can start to do right now, whether you're doing this as a hobby or you're wanting to earn some additional income, engage with your audience, right? Show up on social media, going out to different events, engage with your audience, actively connect with your readers and potential clients through social media. You can do newsletters, and then once again, seeking speaking and engagements to build a loyal community. Right? All right. And then one final thing. So an exclusive offer for my webinar attendees. I do appreciate you all taking your time out today, and I want to see you win. So I am offering a discounted strategy sessions. If you're like, hey, I'm ready to take the next step with my offer, with my author brand, I am offering a 30-minute one-on-one session where we will explore your goals and unique vision as an author. We will create a plan with actionable steps to diversify your income, and then you'll receive expert guidance tailored to your needs. So this is a limited time, only $50. I promise you, I will not be doing this for very long, but I wanted to do this as a way to thank you, and also because I genuinely want to see you win. So I will be sharing the link. I'll send that out in an email once we are done. I'm going to share that link. And if you are interested in taking advantage of the 30-minute one-on-one session, they are limited, so you want to jump on that, okay? All right, and that is all that I have for this evening. Were there any other questions, comments, or feedback?
I just have one thing to say. So when I'm looking at trying to figure out things to diversify my brand, so one thing I do a lot is I think about my target audience, which are parents, and I write down a pain point for them, and then I write medicine, like what medicine can I create to alleviate that pain point. So that's how I brainstorm and how I try to look at it. Like, what is a problem that my target audience is having, and what can I create that will alleviate that problem? Um, so that's it. That just helps to just simplify it a little bit further.
Perfect. Thank you so much for sharing that. Yeah, identifying what the problem is and then find the solution, right? All right. So there was a question that was dropped in the chat, and I'm sorry I didn't see this one. So let me go. All right. So the question comes from Tawana James. So how can we find conferences or conventions to promote our books? Also, do you know how we can market to schools, school districts, colleges of education, and organizations? So I'm going to answer part of this, but I'm also going to give Paul an opportunity, if you can, to just share a little bit about what has worked for you when it comes to marketing your book to schools. So when it comes to finding conferences or conventions, you want to think about what's the topic of your book, right? What is the message? What is it that you want people to walk away with after they read your book? And then you can do a couple things. So I recommend attending other events, even if you're not going there to speak, but show up to other events, get yourself out there, start to network. Join the local chamber of commerce, right? Start to join networking opportunities in your town so that people start to know who you are. And then also on social media, look up different Facebook groups. There is a Facebook group for everything, right? So if you wrote a book about parenting, look up parenting groups, see what they have going on within those communities, find out what the problem is, and then that's when you can come with the solution. So networking is a great way to find conferences and conventions. I recommend doing like vendor events. So book expos, that's been a really big thing for me. I connect with so many different authors, marketing agencies, and readers at vendor expos. So even if you don't go to like a book expo, think about the topic of your book and go to a conference or an expo based on the topic of that book. So if you wrote like a health related book, you want to go to a health fair, right? So you want to get creative in how you show up. It doesn't just have to be a book event. It needs to be events that are centered around the message of your book. So I hope that helps. And then Paul, I'm gonna let you answer that second part.
So for schools, what has worked for me is simply just reaching out. Um, I just send in, I find the media specialist. That is the person who handles any visits or anything that comes to the school, author visits. They're the person that is going to be the one you can contact. And you can usually find that information on your school district's website. If not, I just will send an email to the principal directly, and then they will distribute it to the correct person. But usually, how I started was I just sent an email when I wrote my first book and asked if I can come in and read, and they were very happy to do so. And then I just built that reputation. Of course, I did it for free, the first couple of times. And then as the reputation grew, I was able to start, getting a fee for it. So, and charging for it. But definitely building that rapport with the school. Like I said, having other things outside the book. So I offer kind of like I do for pre-K and kindergarten, I do books and bookmarks. So while we read the book and then I bring in a do-it-yourself bookmark kit so they can create their own bookmark and bring it home. And then I have a Tiny Tales author kit that I'm working on. It's a workshop for basically young storytellers. They will be able to create their own book. And I give them a workshop about self-publishing, and then we create their book. So things like that, any addition add-on that is going to give them something to learn besides just reading the book is an excellent to have something like that. As for conferences, early education conferences are like hands down the best. So for each state has a early education conference, annual conference. So I just signed up for the one in Virginia for April. So if you type in on Google and just say like New Orleans early education conference, it will come up. Everybody's have them every year for like 50, 60 years. And those are where all the educators are coming in, district heads, and they always have like a vending hall. So you can vend there and in the exhibit hall, and you can showcase all your stuff. And these people are buying and even on the website, it tells you like what educators are looking for. They're looking for educational toys. They're looking to buy in bulk. They're looking for, and there's like 8,000 people, 5,000 people that go to these events every year. So that is something definitely to look into. And they are not expensive. I mean, you can get a booth. I paid $125 for a 6x6 table because that's all I need. I'm good with that. So those are great events to go to, especially since they are geared towards children's, early education. And I do vending events, local vending events. It just helps me sharpen my skills as far as my pitch and talking to people. But for schools, you definitely just have to keep going, following up. Just keep going. Just keep hitting every district around you. Go in and do a story for free, but eventually it'll pay off because you're building that rapport with them. But you're definitely gonna have to put in a little work for the school districts, but they're more than happy to have you come into the school. And then once you're in the school, then you can really start to talk about the other things you have going on and just pitch other ideas to them. And then, that's how it goes. But just if you got to send some cold emails, then that's what it is. I keep a spreadsheet of all the contacts that I find on the school district. And then, I put a little check if they responded back, if they didn't, when I should follow up. So I'm just building like a database. So when things come up, I can just go back into that spreadsheet and be like, hey, like I did for Christmas, my new book is coming out. Can I come in and read to the kids? Can we do, this? And they were happy to do it. So just start there. And then not every school is going to be hit back, but you'll definitely get some people to hit you back, and then you start building from there. Once they hear that you've been there, then you can put, hey, I was at such and such a school and did this, so you can utilize that. But yeah.
Yes. Thank you so much for sharing. Yes, all of those great things. So I would recommend setting aside time each week to research, right? Research different events in your area. Like Paula said, even researching like the school district that you're in and then the surrounding school districts. You have to have resilience in building your author brand. You got to have that knowledge like, hey, one no is okay, but I'm gonna get that one yes is gonna open up like 1,000 more doors. So you have to keep showing up. That's definitely important. And then community is also really important as well. So that's where we're thankful to have you in the Authors Impact Hub community. We're here to support you. If you're needing like, hey, some additional tips, please post in the group. We're here to guide you. And be a support for you as you are growing and making an impact with your brand. Another thing that I didn't add, and I wanted to just say this really quick before we leave for the evening, podcasts, right? That's another way that you can monetize your income as an author. You can create a podcast. If you think about the topic of your book, you can create a podcast based around the topic. You can do it solo or you can interview other people related to the topics. That's another thing that you can do as well. All right, so that is our webinar for the evening. I appreciate you all joining. You will receive a link to leave a review of the webinar, and then also we're going to share the link so that you can register for next month's journal creation webinar. And then I did share in the chat, I shared the link if you are interested in taking advantage of the 30-minute strategy session. I'm looking forward to seeing you all on the strategy session so that we can plan your next steps. All right, until next time, we will see you in the Authors Impact Hub. Have a great evening.
Bye, ladies. Have a good evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Good night. Thank you.
Thank you.